We're going live, setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. So once I know that it's officially there, let's just double check that we're live. And it looks like we are good to go. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put us in gallery view. And I think that that might show up in the live video. And if not, that's totally fine. We're going to wing it anyway. And now we are streaming live because, oh, I'm so excited. This is the first time that I've done a live stream success story. So this is actually really cool. And I'm really excited because I'm joined with one of my clients, Adrienne. She's gone through the Stronger Ever After program for 2 rounds now. And we're just chatting about her experiences in the program, non-scale victories, even scale related victories, what she learned, how her experience went, and just going over just all of the fun stuff that we've sort of encountered on her journey throughout Stronger Ever After. So Adrienne, I don't want to ramble too much here, speaking of rambling, and I'll go ahead and just ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself first. So how old are you? Where are you from? What do you do? And what was your sort of lifestyle like before we connected and we started working together?
Yeah, so I'm 32. I live in Milton. I'm an environmental educator. So I go virtually this year into schools and talk to students all about the environment. And my lifestyle before Stronger Ever After was lazy. I didn't really do much of anything. I had been an athlete for most of my life and was pretty active. But in the last couple of years, I think I've really just kind of became a couch potato and would go on walks occasionally, but wasn't focusing on my fitness, was not focusing on what I was putting into my body. And there are reasons behind that as well. You know, just kind of overcoming disordered eating, that I just needed to take some time, and it was years for myself to just let my body eat whatever I wanted. But of course that came with feeling really horrible about myself. So when I came across Stronger Ever After, it just felt this connection with you like immediately. And I knew that I had to invest and I had to be a part of this program.
I love it. That actually brings up a really good question too, because you talked about your struggles with binge eating and sort of having to go through a period of time where you just you stopped paying attention to your food and your eating, and you just kind of listened to your body. And then with that came weight gain. With that came also just a need to find some sort of a balance too. So I'm wondering, like, what prompted you to join Stronger Ever After? What was that sort of switch in your brain that said, I need to find a program like this?
To be honest, it just kind of, I can't explain it. It came out of the blue. So I, once the pandemic started is when I kind of started getting outside more because I felt that need. And so I started hiking and I started walking, and I think I just didn't know, and I wasn't seeing results. So I was walking and doing these things, but nothing was really changing. And I had no idea why, because in my head, I was eating healthy, but I was not. And it actually happened in one day that I found your program and I reached out. And it was very weird because Chloe Wild had posted about your program that you're holding this free webinar. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to sign up for it. And I signed up for a lot of webinars that I don't join. And this one was weird because my sister had just come out of surgery, and my brother and me went to pick her up. And your webinar was happening at the same time that we were driving home. And for whatever reason, I'm just like, no, I have to be a part of this webinar today. And that was the pinnacle moment of my life where things just all started, I felt like, to come into place, and being able to work with you.
I love that. I didn't even know that. I didn't realize that too. Wow. And it just goes to show too that like when you want something, you make the time, because you were all over the place. Like you were going to and from picking your sibling up from surgery, and like in the car. And I mean, that just goes to show that if you really are determined, you make it work too. And so
Yeah.
I love that.
And I couldn't
I'm wondering.
explain like why I needed to join the webinar. It was just something in me that I just knew that I had to. I hadn't even thought about having a coach or a trainer or anything in that realm. I just knew something wasn't working, something had to change. That came up, and I said, okay, maybe this is it. And what
Yeah.
do you know?
Absolutely. That's amazing. And so take us through kind of the problems that you were experiencing as a result of just the lifestyle that you were living that really prompted you um, to work together. Like once you went through the webinar, like what happened and what did you identify with, or what problems was I speaking to that you really, really resonated with, that you felt like this could really help me move past them.
Yeah, I think you touched on so many really key components within that webinar that really struck a chord with me. You had mentioned, and your own story. I think that's what really hit me, is when you were talking about your weight loss, how you had been on every single diet under the sun, nothing had ever worked. I was like, that's me. I've done that. Nothing has ever worked. And, all of your keys to sustainable, weight loss and fat loss. And I thought, okay, maybe this is the program that is going to be a fit. I'd never had a coach before. It's not even something I ever considered doing. And I'm really glad that I took that step, that leap of faith with you to help me.
Amazing. I love it. And so let's talk about like the key takeaways. First and foremost, how long have we worked together since you decided to jump in? And what are some key takeaways that you can share about your experience inside the program?
Yeah, so we started working together last August. So I did the 3 months of Stronger Ever After at that point. Then I kind of took some time off. And after my first round of the program, you had said, well, maybe you want to consider doing this for a second time. And I thought about it for a little bit and thought, okay, I think that's a good idea, because I just felt that the first time around in the program, I learned so much. I mean, you teach so much in 3 months.
A lot.
So how can you expect your whole life to change in 3 months when you are learning this brand new way of living? You teach nutrition, that you actually need to eat calories to lose weight. Such an ironic thing that was never taught, right? I remember signing up for a program and it was like 1,200 calories. And of course it didn't work, And so the idea that I could be consuming 1,600 calories, and you have this nutrition bundle that shows us, gives us ideas of, okay, what we need to eat, what we can cook. We have the guidelines of what a meal should look like. And not only the nutrition, but of course the training, because I've never thought of strength training before. I always was a runner, and that's all I ever did. If I'd go to the gym, there was a treadmill, that's what I did. I might do some crunches afterwards, and that was it. So the idea of strength training was just this new, really life-changing thing for me, because I found something that I love so much, and I love strength training, and pushing my body to, in that way just makes me feel so strong and so good about my body that I can do that. So you really teach us so much in the program, and it is sometimes worth going through it a second time because I said to you before, going through it that second time was a completely new experience for me than it was the first time.
Yeah, let's kind of talk about that transition because I really think that this is so important. Like the first time around was very education heavy for you because you were learning about all of these new concepts, all of these new things, and learning how to integrate it into your life. And so after you finished the first round of the program, like what did you learn then? And then how was that second time around different? And what did you take away from it on the second round of it?
So the first time in my program, yeah, it was just this brand new way of learning. I was also going through a lot in my personal life at that time, that I did struggle near the end just because in health issues that I was dealing with. And at the end of the program, I thought, okay, I didn't necessarily, I'm not exactly where I thought that I would be. But I also, through the program, realized, well, I still stuck with something for 3 months. Even though I didn't necessarily see the results I did, I stuck to it. And that's what's important, because even in the hardest times in your life, sometimes that an hour to yourself really does help and gives you that mental clarity during that time. So I knew, okay, if I did this program during one of the hardest times, then what if I did this again? What would that bring me? And that second time around, it was different because I could hit the ground running. I knew what I needed to eat. I knew, what I needed. I knew that 3 months was going to go by regardless. So why
Yeah.
not just give it my all through those 3 months? I did my training 4 days a week. I think I missed 2 training sessions in those 12 weeks. I was walking. I was sticking to my routines that you are so great about helping with. Getting us to, have these new routines and that we can stick with. So for me, it was no more late night snacking and getting up in the morning.
Mhm.
And at the end of my second time, I could look in the mirror and be like, wow, like you killed it. And taking before and after photos and seeing that difference in myself and being down almost 12 inches and having this new just zest for where I wanted to go, and realizing for the first time, like, oh, you can do this. Like you can achieve what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so funny too that you mentioned how, and I want to normalize this too, the first time around, sticking to it for the 3 months, that by the end of the program, you still weren't 100% happy with the results. And that's normal, right? That's real life. You were dealing with a whole slew of other health issues. There was a lot going on. We were in a pandemic. For like, we're still in a pandemic. And so we tend to not acknowledge all of the other moving parts in our journey while we're working towards being a better version of ourselves. And so I want to let everybody know that it is like normal to feel like after 3 months of hard work, you know what, you still have a way to go, right? You're not going to change your life in 3 months. But by the end of those 3 months, you realize that there was still potential and that you still wanted to invest that time and money and education into learning how this could be even better. And that second time around, you were talking about how you focused less on the scale and the number and all of like the mechanics of the nutrition and training. And we actually really distilled it down to habits, right? We worked on your habits. We worked on getting rid of your late night snacking. We worked on getting rid of any of the, or at least turning the volume down on the negative self-talk and all of the self-sabotage, and really putting in those habits that were going to help you in the long run, like your morning routines or establishing some boundaries around bedtimes. And all of that stuff actually proved to deliver even better results than the first time around. And
Yeah.
so I want to talk about that. Like, what achievements can you say that you've had over the course of these, I'll say 6 months. So let's just distill it down to the full journey here. What personal achievements can you say that you've had? And you can talk about scale related or aesthetic related, but also more importantly, let's talk about the mindset related ones too.
Mhm. I think for me, and that's a huge thing, and that people should know, is that I think when you start on one of these journeys, Especially, a lot of people in this program are coming from backgrounds of being obsessed with weight loss, and it's something that I had to learn the hard way through a lot of tears. And even during this program, getting on the scale and not seeing the results, but you always saying, well, how much inches have you lost? Like, that's what we need to focus on. And so I've gotten rid of my scale. It's not something that I ever want to look at again in my life. And I just want to focus on the inches lost, because that's, to me, a better way of measuring my
Yeah.
successes and better for my overall well-being.
Hmm.
Because that it's just this horrible relationship that I think most of us have with that scale. And so if we can
Yeah.
get rid of it and not pay attention to it, I think the better off we would all be.
Agreed. Agreed. For sure.
Yeah. And so I really tried to focus on those little habits each day. Getting up in the morning, late night snacking is a huge one for me, that I always did, and I would always go to. Where now I know, and we've talked through so much during this program about different outlets I can do instead of that. If I feel the need to do that, well, take 20 minutes. Are you still craving that? I take out my iPad and I do the drawings, those coloring in
I
apps.
love it. Yeah.
Whatever it can, just to get me out of that loop, that cycle that your mind goes to. And even negative self-talk is something, that we've talked thoroughly about in the last 6 months. And it's something that I think we'll always struggle with, especially coming from a place of, as women, we're always taught to focus on our bodies, that's the most important thing about us, but understanding that it's not. No.
Hmm.
And to just focus on who you are as a person and saying your daily affirmations and really focusing on who you are as a person, not what your body looks like. And I work out now and I eat well because it makes me feel good, not necessarily because of what I want to look like. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. People are going to love me regardless if, I'm a size 6 or I'm a size 20. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I love that. I love that because it's just showing me, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna get emotional here. It's showing me how far you've come too, because like if you can talk about the place that you are coming from and the things that you were struggling with before you started this journey, like what problems were you experiencing, or like why was it so important for you to do this in a way? Like give somebody an example of like maybe thoughts that you were having or problems that you were facing that you just didn't want to keep a part of your life anymore.
Yeah, I mean, where do I begin? I mean, I've spent my whole life thinking that I was just a body, that the only way I was going to get love from someone, or whether that is a partner, whether that is friends, is if I was a certain size. And I think we've all had different times in our life where people have talked negatively about our bodies, growing up and being bullied, or your family commenting on your weight and, oh, it looks like you've gained weight, as if you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know
Yeah.
the struggles that I have, that I'm going to leave here after you tell me that and cry and not want to go out of my home for a week after you comment on my weight and my size. And at the end of the day, realizing through this journey, that's not a me problem. And even though, yes, that does sting, of course it does. It would be lying to say that doesn't hurt. But having the tools to overcome those, having the tools if you have a bad self day. I mean, to say that in the last 3 months, I haven't had days where I've just cried, thinking that I'm not making progress and thinking that I'm at a standstill, that I'm never going to get to where I want to be, would be a lie. Because of course I've cried. Of course I've had
Mhm.
days where I've horrible, and I will continue to have those days, but the difference is I have the tools now to get out of that faster, whether that happens for an hour and I let myself cry for an hour and then pick myself up and go for a walk, do my workout. That's the difference, where before I wouldn't go out. I mean, we can't go out now anyways, but I would just stay in my house. I would cry when I would put on clothes, and knowing that I can now come out of that so much faster is all the difference.
Oh, I love that. Oof. If there's anything that we can take away from this, it's that right there, because I think that it's so important to highlight too that we're still talking about a health and fitness program, and yet a lot of the transformation that's come out of it has come out of it as a result of those mindset shifts. It's like, if this was just a nutrition and training program, do you think that you would have had the same transformation? Or do you think that mindset played a key component in you being able to make this a long-term lifestyle change?
I mean, of course not. Of course not. I mean, how many times have we done those programs that do say, eat this, work out this many days, even though they might not give you a training program, and you still don't see results? Because at the end of the day, someone can give you all, a package of what you need to do, but having you and a coach to talk through those days where I feel my worst, and being able to feel comfortable to reach out to you, and someone that's outside of my own circle, right? Because I can call my mom, but she's not going to understand and, give me the tools that I need to get better, to improve my mindset. Someone can tell me all day, oh, I love you, and yes, of course that does mean a lot, but that's not going to get me out of that bad mindset day, or that bad self-talk day, where I could just reach out to you, and you were always there to encourage me and say the right thing, to help me through it. And having a coach has been the best thing. If I could have you as a coach for the rest of my life, I would.
I love it. Thank you. Well, you know what? I'm always here for you. So you know that I would absolutely continue. And that's the thing too, is that I love how you said that you can go and tell your mom, or you can ask a friend to support you, but there's something different about having someone who's outside of your social circles and your regular everyday interactions, that is invested in your personal growth and who wants to see you succeed. And I think that is something that we don't realize that we need until we experience it. Is that having a cheerleader, or having somebody in your corner who's not related to you, who you don't know from any other certain circumstance, but that really truly wants to see you step into the best version of yourself. That could be the difference between you giving up on yourself when times get tough, or you dusting yourself off, knowing that bad days happen, but doing the hard things anyway, because you're prioritizing yourself and because you know what's best for you in the long term. And so thank you for sharing that, because I think that's so important. I have one more question too, and I feel like I already know your answer, but would you recommend Stronger Ever After to others? And if so, who would you recommend it to? What kind of a person would you recommend this program to? Give me some details there.
Of course. You have to invest. You have to do something for yourself. And if you are a person that has struggled for your entire life with that relationship with food, the relationship with your body, with the scale, then this program is for you. Because, just having an app or something that might help you on that journey, it might get you some results, but it's not going to get you the full change that you want to see in yourself. And by investing in you and making yourself a priority, you will see results. And you'll realize at the end of that program, at the end of Stronger Ever After, that it is not about what you look like. Because at the end of the day, it's waking up, realizing that you are the best version of yourself, and you are a badass person, a badass woman, then invest, reach out to Larissa and take that first step, take the leap, because I can tell you for myself, it's worth it. I'm now almost a month out of this program, and I'm still on the journey, and I'm still working out because I've learned the tools that I need to. I'm still making myself a priority every single day.
I love it. Thank you so much for all of the stories that you shared, everything that you shared today. I am so, so grateful for you. I'm so excited for what's to come for you as well. This is just on to bigger and better things. Do you have any like last words or anything that you'd like to say before we hop off?
Invest in Larissa. Do the program. That's all I can say, is that you won't regret it for a single second. I know it seems maybe like a lot of money at first, but you know what? It's hands down the best thing you can do, because you're going to be end up saving money in the long run, because this is it. And you'll always, and knowing that you're always going to be there for me makes me feel like I can do this and I can continue, and you're always there supporting us no matter what. So you're amazing. And thank you for doing everything that you do and creating this program, because I'm a changed person because of it. And I have you to thank for that.
Oh, I am so, so grateful. Thank you so much, Adrienne. I really appreciate it. We're going to hop off the live now. Thank you so much. Bye.